Is there a sales deal ghosting you right now? A prospect you've been chasing that you thought you closed, you thought you won, and now they're just nowhere to be found? Hi, I'm Melody, the author of the HI Sales Code, and I'm here to have Rainmaker Conversations with you. If this sounds like something you're dealing with, follow along. We're going to get into it. There is a moment that defines in every deal whether or not you have won. In that single moment, there is something that has to happen. It is the thing that most salespeople skip more than anything else. Most people build the report, they run the demo, they solve the problem, they hint, they passively send one more piece of information, put that prospect on a newsletter mailing list, which is not a bad thing, and they hope that the prospect turns around and asks them how they can go about buying their product. What they will not do is the one thing that we came here for, and that is ask for the business. Today, I'm going to show you how to ask the right way. We're going to talk about what's actually happening inside your buyer's brain and how to work with it. The biggest myth in selling is that we think that there's a dramatic pen swipe at the end and the deal just materializes because the salesperson was a good salesperson. And if that doesn't happen, that they weren't a good salesperson. There's some clever trick that we get to just make them sign, right? Couldn't be farther from the truth. There is an entire methodology that goes on to get people from A to Z. The close is not a separate step at all. It's an evolution of every small agreement that came before the final decision to close. Researchers back it up. Top performers win roughly 7 out of every 10 deals, while mediocre performers win 1 out of every 4. The difference is almost never a last minute closing trick. It's an earlier discipline. It's based on the building of trust through a clear and inquisitive discovery, the building of a case that makes the prospect feel that there's a value for them, that there's a problem being solved, and that you care. It's a small string of yeses that were collected along the way that make the win happen. So here's the reframe. If asking for the business feels terrifying, you might have skipped a step or two along the way. You might be missing some of the previous yeses. The fix isn't a braver close. The fix isn't getting the courage to go and ask for the business. It's a re-examination of everything that came before, so that when you do it next time, the final step for the ask is really not such a mountain. It's a small thing. Let me tell you about a sales rep I once hired. He could get anyone booked on a demo call. He could talk through the product with ease. He, with precision, understood how the platform worked, and he shared it. He booked calls, they were warm, and the problem was they weren't closing. So I sat in to see what was going on and see if I could help him. And within a few calls, I saw it. He was boxing them in. And he was very proud of that. That was actually his own word for what he was doing. Every ask was a forced choice, not allowing them the room to say no. Do you want me to send the agreement today or tomorrow? Will you have your team ready for a second pass review at this next week or the week after? Should we meet on Tuesday or Wednesday? There was never an open door. It was always this or that. And on the surface, it worked. They almost always picked one. They agreed in the moment. Because as we've discussed in previous videos, the human brain is wired to avoid conflict. And it was just easier. So people agreed. And his rate of no-shows were incredibly high because they were agreeing in the moment. But when they had the time to step back, it was a higher rate where they considered that they really didn't want to show up. And he couldn't understand why, because they had said yes so easily and so readily. Now, here's the thing. This technique has a name and a pedigree. Back in the 1930s, the legendary sales trainer Elmer Wheeler built it. He called it the don't ask if, ask which. There used to be soda fountains in the pharmacy, and he built this on egg cream sodas. He trained the soda fountain clerks to ask 1 egg or 2. And inevitably, Over 90% of the people asked this question, instead of being asked, would you like an egg, said yes. And egg cream sales skyrocketed. 7 out of every 10 people took an egg that they never meant to buy and didn't really want, just to be polite and avoid conflict. For a 5-cent egg, the customer would take the easy way out and just say one, even if they didn't want it at all. But here's the problem. My sales rep wasn't selling eggs. He was selling contracts that were worth thousands of dollars, affected thousands of lives, and had multiple decision makers in the process. Technology sales are commitments. Anything where your product is being used is a much bigger commitment than an egg. So they would agree to the next call, they would agree to the close just to avoid the discomfort of saying no. So I helped him change the question. I stepped in for the second voice and I stopped boxing them in and asking open-ended questions instead. You may have seen my other video on the 6W1H. Check that out for some ideas on these open-ended questions. And when I did that, some deals fell apart on the spot. But that was actually a gift, because now we don't have to waste our times on the ones that were only showing up just to be nice. Those people were never going to buy, and it's equally important to disqualify them as it is to qualify the ones that you're going to win and work with. The rest of the deals started to close. Everything fell in line, and within 3 months, his sales ratios had appreciated and increased by over 30%. That was the real win. We did that simply by trading the easy yes that didn't mean anything to a valid, honest yes that held true meaning, and the ones that really wanted to go forward. Why does asking beat pushing? How does that work in the brain? When a person feels something is being done to them, or they're being pushed to do something, the brain literally shuts down. They're not hearing anything after the boxing in. If someone feels like they're being cornered for a decision, the brain perceives that as a threat. And everything after that threat that they hear is only what's going on in their thoughts and not what's going on with you at the table. It doesn't even matter if the offer is good for them and they would actually benefit from it. If their brain is feeling threatened, you're done. This is why high pressure closing, boxing people in, and Elmer Witchler or Eggwich or whatever his name was, this is why they backfire. The harder you push towards a yes, the harder the human brain digs its heels in to say no, because it perceives it as a threat. Asking permission does exactly the opposite. If you say effectively instead, is it all right if we move forward? In that moment, you're handing back the choice and you're signaling to the brain that that prospective client is the one in control and that you're respecting them because you will adhere to whatever their wishes are. This also has another positive effect in it frees up the mind from, instead of pushing back on the threat, to actually listen and elevate the conversation. Now they have something to contribute because they've been hearing you. There is a second force working for you too. It's one of the most reliable findings in the study of human influence. People want to stay consistent with things that they've already said and done. It makes us feel good to stay consistent and to be aligned in our consistency. Every time someone agreed, it's another brick in the wall that they've collected and built. And this way, they're building the wall of yeses themselves. If you've done this, you're inviting them to make a decision that they've already made. The yes that you want is the one that's already been given in various places along the way. To accomplish this, you can't box them in. Now, here's another thing that helps. Don't just name the benefit of working with you, help them feel it. Here's one thing that most salespeople push past: the future state. It's the moment you show the prospect what life is like after you've solved the problem for them and allow them to really digest that. Don't stop at naming the benefits. You'll save about 10 hours a week. Sounds like a really great bullet point, but really that lands as just what it is, a bullet point. Naming a benefit is not the same thing as helping someone to feel it. So translate it into using any of the 5 senses. If you're freeing up time saved, take it deeper than time saved. Let them know that it will allow them to breathe easy. You're going to breathe easy once this is up and running for you. If you're talking about money and budgets that are stressing them out, say, we're going to help you get back all that sleep that this has been costing you. Your sleepless nights are about to come to an end. That knot in your stomach at budget time, we're going to try and make that not happen anymore. If they're killing the manual spreadsheets at work, give them back the labor in their minds. Help them imagine taking their hands off the keyboard. There's real reason in this and real vision in how it works. For those of you who are already used to manifesting your lives, you know what I'm talking about. If you're consciously manifesting your life, the brain doesn't draw a hard line between reality and your perceived reality of your future state. If you're into the laws of manifestation, you already know this. Why not bring it into your sales strategy? Use words that are loaded with sensation, and the parts of the brain that would fire if the prospect is already living that sensation start to fire. Neurons that fire together wire together. Let them rehearse the sigh of relief before it becomes real. One word of caution, don't overdo it. Sensory overload also sucks. One or two sensory anchors land. Anyone can sense it if you're pressing an agenda by overloading them with positivity. So don't shower it, just a little sprinkle. Otherwise, you risk it becoming high pressure sales. And that's not what we're doing here. That's not how a rainmaker sells. If they use some of their own words along the way and you picked up on that, you can actually talk to them in that same language. Okay, so now you've done the work. You've done everything you needed to get here. So the ask is actually really short, but it really still needs to happen. The skill is keeping it clean and confident, not apologetic and not aggressive. Start by recapping the value briefly. Use their own words if you can. It's not a pitch, it's a reminder. So we're solving the late intervention problem. So we're getting your team out of the spreadsheet. So we're giving you board ready reports every spring without any effort. Make it personal. Then ask directly and firmly. Here's a few examples of what works. Based on everything we've talked through, it sounds like it's a good fit for you. Do you agree? Based on everything we've talked through, it sounds like a good fit for you. Are you ready to move forward? Or is there something you still need from me first? In this way, you're opening the door to overcome any final objections that they may have. And you're also asking permission, which, as we discussed, opens up the brain to possibilities of working with you. Here's another one that's my favorite. I would love to work with you. I would love to earn your business. What can we do to get there? And now comes the hardest part. Sit back, be still, be silent, and listen to what they say next. This is not a skill of speaking. I have seen so many salespeople rush in with all kinds of information after asking a question. Learn to get comfortable with a little bit of silence. Let the silence sit. Give them the opportunity to speak. Those 5 or 10 seconds feel far longer to you than it does to the other person on the other side of the screen because they're busy thinking about what they might want to say. The human instinct is to rescue them by piling information into the conversation. And that's exactly the wrong thing to do. The time to pitch is not now. You made the ask and you asked for the objections. Now let it be. If asking still feels uncomfortable and you've done all this, here's another reframe for you. You earned their trust being someone who listened. You've listened to all of their challenges. You've agreed on solving all of the problems. And you earned their trust by being the one who listened to them and did your best to solve their problems with your product. Everything is completely aligned. And if you're feeling like the ask is an imposition, it's not. The salesperson who won't ask leaves business behind because they're leaving the buyer stranded, unsupported, and wondering how on earth they can get to do business with you. It seems silly, but it's true. Asking clearly and warmly, it's a gift. You're selling someone who has one responsibility in working with you and 10 or 20 or 100 other things on their plate that have nothing to do with you and what you're selling. If their answer is no, then you've lost nothing because it frees you both to move on and do what you need to do. But if their answer is yes, now it's time to hold their hand through the process and volunteer to be supportive in your winning of the deal. And yes means you have a new customer and they get the benefit of you or your product. The only bad outcome is the one I mentioned in the beginning. It's the deal that sits in silence because nobody was brave enough to ask for the business. If this helped, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like. I'd love to hear your comments. I'm Melody and I'm writing the HI sales code along with you live. And what I'm doing is helping you get the real part, the part of sales that no AI engine and no tool can do for you. It's reading the room, it's feeling the moment, it's showing up with warmth, with clarity, with compassion, and with confidence. And that is human ingenuity. It's the engine that connects all the dots between what we're doing and who we are and how we get to work together. If this helped, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.